Hello, hello. Welcome to another creative chat. And today I am here with Sandra. Sandra teaches how to have more freedom in your life and in your business. And she is also a copywriter with a very, very cool brand name. Welcome, Sandra. Welcome.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad that you're here.
I'm happy to be here.
Good. Could you tell me a little bit more about your businesses?
Yeah, of course. So on the one hand, we have Freedom by Design, which is where I'm really a freedom-focused business strategist. I have a couple of online trainings there. There are some services there, but that has been less and less the focus. And under that brand name, I also write a monthly review where I talk about the affiliate income I've made in a month, what happens, the kind of decisions you run into, what I've been working on that have been really, really popular and actually led to more affiliate sales. So that's like a super interesting thing that's happening on that website. And then I've also got a copywriting brand called Damn Copy for when you sit there and you go like, oh, damn, I still need to write copy. So that is kind of where that came from.
I love the name. I think it's such a great name. And you have some awesome products there that all have that damn in them and as well. So I think it's a really smart.
Yeah, it makes naming things like really fun and a little bit tricky. So the main service there is the Damn Sexy Sales Pages, where I write sales page copy in a day. And then I've got a new one that's going to be Damn Fiery Funnels, where I write entire sales funnels in a day. But now I'm working on like a sort of more like a menu type thing because people have been asking me to write all sorts of stuff. And I'm kind of stuck on like how to name that one because it's more like it needs to be all encompassing. So it's but yeah, it's just really fun. Like you can use it in so many ways. Yeah.
And at least you know that it's going to be something with them.
Yeah, that kind of has to be in there, right?
I'm thinking damn picky something, since a pick a mix kind of thing.
For damn picky clients. Oh no, we don't like those.
I think it's so awesome that you run these two businesses. And could you tell a little bit more about how it is to have two quite different businesses and how to combine them?
I want to sit here and pretend like I have it all figured out and it's so easy and it's so balanced. But I mean, you were there, right? So the truth is the Damn Copy launched at the beginning of the last of July, I guess. It's only been 4 weeks, right? And that's kind of taken off. And I hate the word overnight success, and it's definitely not that, but it's been making a lot more sales than I may have expected for the first month. So it's this thing where, and I still have retainer clients, right? I still have marketing and strategy retainers from Freedom by Design that are ongoing. So it's this thing where I think right now there isn't really a balance, and that's okay for a while. But I'm trying to, like, I'm sort of finding it back. And this also means that because I've now got a new home, because I had copywriting services under Freedom by Design for a little while and it wasn't really working. Now that has its own home, that means that Freedom by Design can also evolve and be a lot more maybe outspoken in what it's really about. So I do feel like I'm probably going to overhaul that website as well, which means that the products might get a little bit revamped. There might be some new stuff coming there. But it's more like I work on it in sprints, right? So, I mean, we talked every day during the sprint I did to put Damn Copy as a brand and into the world, and how I did that in like 7 afternoons. It was kind of insane. And then it's really, then it doesn't matter if you work until 9 in the evening, because when you sort of have that momentum and that inspiration, I think it's important to like not try to push it down, but just roll with it and do it when, strike while the iron's hot, I think the English expression is. But so I wouldn't say there's balance, but the thing is, because with Freedom by Design, I just sell digital products mainly there, it can kind of sit there for a while and I can like not touch it for a while.
Yeah.
The main thing I do is I make sure that I email the email list there every once in a while, but I never really email if I don't have something to share or something to say. But I'm mindful of like doing the monthly reports and of making sure emails go out, but that's kind of it.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying about going, it's not a balance. It's more like
Yeah.
you go either way.
Yeah, exactly.
You're either all in on the freedom by design, and then you go all in with damn copy, and then you go in all in with the freedom by design again.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got like, the meta sort of thing about it is that because with damn copy, I do offer services, right? But I'm taking on custom projects here and there, and I've got a few really big projects that may turn into a yes soon, which influences my time available, right? But for all the other things, it has a fairly strict container around like doing services, but doing them in a day. And it's not like a day rate because I give people like a guaranteed deliverable, right? It's not like, hey, you pay me for 8 hours and I write for 8 hours. It's like, hey, you pay me for a sales page, I write it for you on a specific day, you get it when it's done.
Yeah.
And that really helps to sort of keep that container. But the beauty of that is that I find it's such a refreshing way to work. For freedom by design, I could very easily see myself do a training around like how I decided this, how I set it up, how I packaged it, how I priced it, and how that has been that allows me to take on lots of clients, but not get stuck in an open loop dragging on client process.
Yes.
So it's really fun how like things from the one business can actually feed into the strategy side on the other business.
Is that also, you think, how the creativity works? So they influence each other, and that's where you get the creativity from?
I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of how it works, right? Because, and we talked about this when I first was like, I really want to write more. And that it really came from, I was running Freedom by Design. I had marketing and strategy retainers and things were kind of moving. And I wasn't really happy at the moment. And there was this thing, I just want to write more. And it turned into this thing where it's like, well, do I write self-published, steamy romance novels with a little bit of paranormal stuff in there? Or because that could be fun, right? That's a business model.
That's definitely fun, yeah.
But then it kind of came to looking at what am I, surprisingly good at that other people may struggle with. And we came up with like, well, maybe the sales pages would be a better thing. And then that feeds into one thing, but that also means that now I'm figure out, hey, it's much nicer to work on something for half a day. I'm changing how my retainers work, where it's like, yeah, I'll work for another company, but on a specific day only. So they can email me all they want, but I look over it and I will save it for whatever their day or their time frame is. So yeah, I think it feeds into each other. And I think as you sort of iterate on the one thing, that also has impact on all the other parts of your life, right?
Yes.
And the same is true for companies.
That sounds so cool. Are there other ways or unexpected ways that you use your creativity in your business as well?
I mean, I think the obvious answer is in my writing. Like sales page writing is, for me, it's partially a creative thing, right? And because I used to do web design as well, I often add little design notes. So it's this thing where you're taking this input, and there's obviously an end result, right? They want a sales page that sells products and services, but you kind of take this input and you take what they tell you, because I give people a little questionnaire, and you turn it into something sort of ready to go. And there's kind of, I gave a training on all the prep work I have clients do. And then it's kind of like, well, you have all the prep work and now you just write the sales page. And to me, that feels kind of natural, because that's where the sort of magic is happening, right? I'm sitting here with my noise canceling headphones and just kind of turning it into something. I think that's very much a creative process.
Definitely.
Other than that, I mean, I don't know. I think I've had some fun offers. I feel like it's more that one of the things how I use creativity is when I've got like an idea, I either move on it or I don't. And if I don't move on it, I can save the idea and I might read it back later. But I think like having creative ideas and the ability to move very quickly, that makes you kind of go like, oh, you know what? This could be cool. All right, let me do a live training on it next week. Let me do a webinar in 3 weeks. Let me put out a service offer for temporarily, right? Sometimes, yeah. I mean, a great example is last week. I was like, wouldn't it be cool to write sales page, or not sales page, sales video scripts, right? Also a creative thing. We all know video really increases conversion. but what the heck do you say in a sales video? Like, I don't know. Actually, no, I do know, because I took a training on it, and like, you can Google some examples. And once I've written a sales page, it's much easier to write all the other collateral for it. So I kind of posted on Instagram, and I had 2 conversations around it, and they weren't in the right space. But then I had a poll, and one of my clients that I'm writing for this week was like, no, she didn't have videos, but she wanted to. So, this is going to come out after, but my idea is that I'm going to write her a sales video script, because I saw her answer for free as a surprise. And then I can kind of see if she's happy with the result, how long it takes me. So yeah, creativity, it's not just having the ideas, but it's taking action on them. And even if, especially as a service provider, even if it doesn't make sales, that doesn't mean the idea doesn't have merit or there isn't something there, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I think creativity for me, it's really around like getting the idea and running with it as soon as possible.
Awesome. Yeah, and I agree. Like I've had ideas that were just not ready, and then I can't move on them because they're just too vague yet.
Yeah.
But if I have an idea and it's very, very clear and I don't move on it, it will go away. And I actually read the other day that if you don't move on it, then the universe will give the idea to someone else that will move on it.
Well, it's I think I have to put right. It's Elizabeth Gilbert that talks about that in Big Magic. I don't know if you've read the book.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so it's awesome. Like I think she talks about this. It's literally sitting right here. No, but it's that, and sometimes it needs to marinate a little bit. I always say like, no, I'm just marinating on the idea. And sometimes it's a really good idea, and then you're like, well, that's great. I'll put it in my phone notes and I'll think about it later. And then 6 months later, you see someone else have the same, yeah, it happens.
Yes. I think that happens when, and it could be that it's either just not right for you, which is perfectly fine, or you were doing something else. And then you have to just think, okay, so is this something that really fits me and my business and my brand and my audience, and I should just move on it? Yeah. Or is it something that I'm okay with if it goes to someone else or someone else comes up with it?
No, I think that's exactly the, sorry, I'm hearing someone walking, like, who's that? No, it's that. And sometimes it's also like, yeah, it's a great idea, but it doesn't mean it has to be you. Or it has to be right now.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if you come back in 30 years and you do this interview. Actually, I do write steamy romance novel with a hint of paranormal, right? I don't write copy anymore. I write, that could totally be possible.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like sometimes I know we're both ideas people, right? That's a bit of the curse that we have, is like there's so many ideas to choose from, which means we have so many really great things that will never see the light of day.
Yes. I had my mind was racing yesterday evening, and I think that's a really good point. If you are an ideas person and you get loads of ideas, and for most of the ideas persons, they get them at the terrible or wrong moments, just have a notebook, or just, I have a WhatsApp group with myself so that I can WhatsApp myself. And I just write it all out. So I had a notebook, and even like in the middle of the night, and my writing is going like this over the notebook page, just because I was writing in the dark. But I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget. And I love like just having that, because then the next morning I'm like baffled for the second time with my idea. Like, oh right,
that was really good. I sometimes I have them all in my phone notes, and sometimes I read it and like, I don't really know what this means. Like, what am I talking
about? and it happens. Like sometimes I think something is a great idea in the middle of the night, and then the next morning I wake up, I'm like, nope, not at all.
Never mind. This was terrible. Yeah, I think at the same time, it's this thing where ideas are free, and especially as an ideas people, it's it's the implementation that's sort of not just where the money is, but where the result is. And I sometimes I feel precious. I'm like, dude, that was my idea. Why did they now launch that thing, create that thing, name it like that, trademark that, bought the domain, whatever? But ideas are free, and that doesn't mean they're not valuable, but the value really to me is in implementation, yes or no, right? Taking action, yes or no.
I think that's a very good point. And I think there's always more ideas, so you don't have to feel bad about losing out on an idea as long as you don't really wanted to do it and just didn't do it. And then maybe you should kick yourself. But like in general speaking, and it's only going to be fun in the end as well if you do something with it and you see the result. Sometimes ideas can just be fun for the heck of it and don't actually want to do something with it. Like maybe for now, writing the steamy novels, the idea is more fun than maybe doing it right now.
Yeah, probably. Because when you look into self-publishing, I feel like writing would be great. It's the editing that's just not. I want to write the story once and then I'm done, right? Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm wondering if there's other things that you've learned in your business, because I think this is a really good point about learning to execute on your fun ideas. Are there other things that you've learned that you're like, oh, I really want that to let other creatives know?
Man, I had one last week that's, do you want like hard ass truth bombs that are not fun to hear?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so no, the hard sort of truth bomb that I had last week was like, well, shit. Yeah, this video is not for kids, right? We can swear. We've been saying damn coffee. No, so I was in Bali. I was in this, I didn't do anything illegal, but I was in a tricky situation around me being allowed to stay there. And that kind of meant that I couldn't take on new client work. And although I was selling courses, and if you've read any of my monthly passive income reports, then you know that, yeah, there's money there, but it's not enough to live off, right? And I was at this place where it's like, well, if I take on more clients, I'm not sure if I can take care of them. I don't know when I'm leaving. I'll be jet lagged. If things really go wrong, I might get into such a world of legal trouble. There's no way I'm going to have access to Wi-Fi and computers for a while. And last week, I kind of realized that sort of paralyzed me, and I stopped. I still did, like, I did a new training on manifest. Like, I still did stuff, but I kind of stopped marketing, and I kind of stopped talking to people about what I do and what I wanted to do. And looking back, I'm like, that was a mistake, because the thing is that just because you're marketing now doesn't mean you're getting the results now, right? Looking back, I was like, I should have pulled it together, and I don't want to negate sort of the emotional and the pressure I was under just from being in that situation, the pressure we've all been under with how crazy the world has been, right? The last year and a half. But I was like, if I pitched and I did like 20 podcast interviews during those sort of 6 weeks, I would have gone so far ahead right now, right? Because now and next month, that's kind of when those interviews would have come out. And instead, I was like, I can't take on clients, so I can't do anything. I should have marketed myself because I can't sell. And looking back last week, I was like, holy shit, that was so stupid. That was a mistake. And I think it's this thing where you're like under stress and you're scared, and you forget how to think rationally and critically, and you get kind of stuck in the shittiness of things. And looking back, I was like, oh my God, can you imagine if I actually pulled it together, managed to like record 10 or 20 podcast interviews, and they would have all come out throughout the rest of the year. In the beginning, of like, I just kind of stopped.
And especially,
I was like deer in headlights. I was like, and I just stopped.
If you would have just done one thing and it would have been more than nothing.
Yeah. And and looking back, it's this freeze response, right?
Yes.
And I've noticed that before, because they always talk about fight and flight. And if we've once had like a big car accident just in front of our house, and I realized that my sort of response when something like that happens is like, and I just sort of stay there. And I noticed I did that, and it took me a few weeks, and I didn't snap out of it until it was resolved. And that was a mistake. And I think it's this thing where, looking back, when I get really busy, sort of the marketing things, but also the connecting, right? Because I get a lot of my work and my clients and my referrals and the things that happen come because I build relationships with people.
Yes.
And when I'm busy, that's the first thing that goes like out the window. It's like, no more coffee chats, no more hanging around in Facebook groups. I'm busy. So yeah, I think that was actually in the most recent time, that was the biggest mistake I've probably made this year.
And so what you've learned from that is that you gotta take the time to find out what's the least you can do to keep visible.
Yeah, or it's maybe not even around that, but it's even like when you feel you can do anything, you probably can. And it's not, I don't mean when you're really overworked and you may have like a personal life, but I think there is, the marketing or the things you do now, you're going to see the results in a few months. So it's everything, right? It's like, don't expect the result right away. Don't quit doing things because it looks like it's not working a week or two from, because I was like, no one's really going to care. Like I did one series of stories out about like launching them copy. It's like, no one's going to care. And I've actually talked to people who've known me for years and haven't bought from me and are like, yeah, I'm thinking about this thing and you're totally on my list towards the end of the year when this is, so people are listening, they're just not necessarily responding immediately. But yeah, maybe a minimum visibility thing. I don't really do routine and rules and minimum. I make all these plans and then I don't do them. But yeah, I think staying visible and seeing opportunity everywhere and realizing there's opportunity everywhere, that really makes a difference.
And I agree. And some people may know, is that I have had 2 years of personal stuff where I just couldn't give as much to my business as I wanted to and I should. And I agree, those were the things that went out of the window the first, or the first to go. And the ones that I had the most trouble starting up again, even though I saw the biggest results from them. And just to be able to stay in touch with my clients or like former clients to see if I could do more work for them, or people that might want to work with me somewhere in the future. It's in the end, you can do small things so that it doesn't overwhelm you and it doesn't feel like it's a day job on its own, while still doing them so that you have that visibility, connection. Just
at the same time, there's a really, oh my God, who said this to me? I think like a Dutch business coach. So what she said to me was that she had a masterclass that I watched on like opportunities. And one of the things she talked about was how she hired a company to follow up with any lead that she ever gotten that hadn't been followed up with. Because apparently leads could still, conversion rates were not really affected by how long they hadn't talked to them. So at the same time, like if you've missed opportunities in the past, that doesn't mean you can't circle back, right? And if you're sort of coming from a place of wanting to help someone, and I think it's not just that you haven't been visible and you haven't seen the results, right? It's often that we feel guilty about not doing that. We're like, I look at myself and I look at this and I'm like, oh my God, I know you. And I know we talked about work, but I don't remember exactly what. And that guilt kind of holds you back from just shooting out a message.
I think that's a really good point. I think, and I love, because I didn't know that, but like we always think that leads go dead after a while, cold, dead, like just whatever, non-existent. And just because, and I think it's true, because I have people on my list of people I want to work with that have been there for 2 years. Yeah, exactly. And they've never become a priority like for what they do. But they're still on my list because I still want to work with them at some point. So if they would reach out and it would be a great time, who knows? And actually, I'm going to work with someone very soon who did reach out to me and said, hey, I'm doing this again. And I know you were interested last time. And I said, yes, let's do this. So you never know. And I think just that point is really, really valid. And then if they tell you that they're not interested in anymore, it's a different story
too, right? I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, you can't really be precious around the result, but it's more like the ask is free. The, hey, like, are you interested in this? Do you want to have a conversation around this? Yeah, for sure. So it's never really too late to follow up.
No, I think that's a very, very good point. Okay, so thank you very much for this chat. I love this.
Great.
I think it was very valuable with just thinking about how we show up, and also how we can get creativity in different ways, and just be mindful of all our ideas. So thank you very much, Sandra.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching this creative chat with Sandra. I do creative chats every 3 weeks, and I do them with creative entrepreneurs just to talk about how it is to have a creative business, how it is to be an entrepreneur, what we struggle with, what are the great things about being an entrepreneur, just having a chat. And you can see the full list of chats that are available over here. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos that I post. I post a video every week, and they are all about strategy, tech, and the creative chat course. So I will see you next week. Bye.